Why? I cannot believe it. 10 in a row. The Bears have lost to the Green Bay Packers. They lose this one 9-17, and they just can't find a way to beat this damn team. And it's just like the most infuriating thing on this planet. And frankly, this should have been exactly like week 1, where it was a 3-possession game. The team played awful. The fact that it was a 1-possession game and Justin Fields had a chance to tie in the fourth quarter is ridiculous. And the weirdest part about it is that the defense tightened up when they needed to, but outside of that, they were horrible. They were horrible. They missed Jalen Johnson so much in this game, and it pisses me off so much. Look, I'm about to graduate college. I have 1 semester left. Throughout my time in college, I have not seen this team beat the Green Bay Packers once. The last time the Bears beat the Packers, I was a junior in high school. And the last time that the Bears won in Lambeau, I was in middle school. This is ridiculous. You can't accidentally stumble your way into accidentally winning a game in Lambeau. Not even accidentally. And much not even in Lambeau. You can't accidentally find a way to beat the Green Bay Packers in 5 years. What is wrong with you? This was the biggest game in this series' history in the last decade. And the Bears played like garbage. And I have a couple bones to pick, mainly with the coaching staff, because things were not executed, yes, but there were plenty of scheming problems that I had throughout the entire game. Luke Getsy, I want you gone tomorrow morning. You are an absolute hack. You will serve zero purpose for this team. Why are you running as many toss plays? Why are you letting Justin Fields throw just 16 times throughout the entire game when you were actually letting him throw the football? And look what happened. You played so much better. Why did you just all of a sudden decide, I don't want to throw the football? I don't understand. I do not understand. It makes zero sense why Luke Getsy would be like, oh, Khalil Herbert's been great. Let's try and run. I understand that. Khalil Herbert's been playing great. The running game was fine. And I mean, I understand. Get the running game started. That's how you go about this game in this series. We are a running team, historically. But when the running game fails through the first half, why aren't you making adjustments? There was a period in this game where through a full, real-time hour, Justin Fields did not throw a pass. And it's ridiculous. Throw the ball! Getsy has been my major problem with the team this entire season. Justin Fields has been winning games despite him instead of because of him. And I want to see him gone. He is an absolute hack. And he... Look, he has been awful. It's been 2 years. They have done nothing. This offense is just horrible. They look good, and it's not because of Luke Getsy. It's in spite of him. And I just don't understand what his thought process was. Not just, where is the passing game? I don't understand it. The reason the Packers were able to dominate this game was because they could throw, they could work the intermediate passing game. And this leads me to my next point. What the hell are we going back to the soft zone for? What the hell? What happened? Eberflus, what happened? Look, execution is a big thing. Say what you want about Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Jalen Johnson, Jair Alexander, Christian Watson, DJ Moore. Forget that. This is the pinnacle, the absolute pinnacle of getting outcoached. From start to finish, the Bears were outcoached in this football game, and that is the biggest reason why they lost this game. Not because of the play on the field, because the coaches drew up the right plays at the right time, or the wrong plays at the wrong time. Coaching was the biggest reason why the Bears lost this football game, and why the Packers won this football game. Now, I'm not mad at the Packers for beating the Bears. I'm mad at the Bears beating themselves. If they had played anything like they had since Justin Fields came back from injury, they are much more in this game. Joe Barry's defense led up 30 points to the MF Carolina Panthers. How in the hell do you score just 9 points and fail to reach the end zone? That is embarrassing. And this thing flew by. This game just was an absolute blur. The game ran by incredibly quickly. Very little stoppages. It was a very clean game. I kind of like that. The game was like barely even 2.5 hours. I don't even think it was 2.5 hours from start to finish, including all the commercial breaks that the NFL does. So that was really surprising. But that's because the drives were long, both on the Bears and the Packers side. The only problem, Packers scored 2 touchdowns. Bears couldn't get in the end zone. And that's even with the Packers missing out on 6 points because a field goal was missed and they should have had another 3 at the end of the first half. Incompetence has been this franchise's downfall for a decade plus. And it just baffles my mind that ever since they fired Lovie Smith in 2012, the Bears have a whopping 2 wins against the Green Bay Packers, and they have 1 winning season since they fired Lovie Smith after a 10-6 season. They have 1 season where they finished with more than 8 wins. Why did we fire him in the first place? Now, obviously, things are different. Lovie Smith is not what he used to be, as you can see with what he did with the Texans last year. But even then, why did you fire him after a 10-6 season? I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but like, the franchise has not been the same without Lovie Smith. And the thing that frustrates me the most is that this thing proved one thing to me. Matt LaFleur is a great head coach. Because we were all saying it. Through the first couple of years of Matt LaFleur's tenure, they had blown some big games in the playoffs, and it really was just saying Matt LaFleur's not a good head coach. He's being carried by Aaron Rodgers' talent. Him and the connection with Devontae Adams. They don't have to do much. He can just let Aaron Rodgers do his thing. This season proved that he can win as a coach, and he doesn't need high-end talent to win. He took a offense that had comprised of mostly first and second year members and took them to the playoffs. That's the pinnacle of good coaching. And I envy that because the Bears haven't had a good coach since Lovie Smith. And the Bears can't seem to find their way. They can't stumble their way into even a competent head coach, it seems like. And that's even with Matt Nagy only having 1 losing season in 4 seasons as Bears head coach. We just have not been able to be satisfied. They haven't won a playoff game since 2010. They've made the playoffs just twice since 2010. Only one of those was a meaningful playoff appearance. Meanwhile, the Packers find a way into the playoffs every year, it seems like, and it seems like it takes a miracle for this team, for this league to knock them out of the playoffs for some weird reason. Look, I'm going to get into the sentimental stuff here in a second, but it feels like they just squander every opportunity in a big game. And when you look back on the season, coming into this week, they're riding high. They've won 5 of their last 7 coming into this game. And the only 2 losses were 2 big blown leads. But if you look at who they beat this season, they did not beat anyone who was worth, I guess, looking at and saying, oh, that's a quality win. They had 1 home win against Detroit, and that was it. That's the best win of Matt Eberflus's head coaching career. And after he squandered this game, I think he should go too. I was starting to turn the corner on Matt Eberflus with the streak of wins and how they had played so much better. And to be fair, the defense was much improved than when they played the Packers in Week 1. But he got absolutely cooked. And I think that I do think the game changes with Jalen Johnson and everything, but I don't think he prevents some of these completions because the coverage and the scheming was just that bad. I think they're, especially early in the game, I knew that they were going to target Terrell Smith. I knew it was going to happen. I think everyone who had been paying attention to these 2 teams this season knew they were going to target Terrell Smith, knowing that Jalen Johnson was not going to be playing. And if you didn't know who Terrell Smith was, you knew they were going to be playing and targeting the guy who's replacing Jalen Johnson. And while Terrell Smith has played well in certain places this season, he did not perform and he did not live up to the expectation. He played the role Tyreek Stevenson had in that Week 1 contest. And Stevenson has played so much better this season. He played a great game. He disrupted that touchdown to Romeo Doubs. He, of course, forced the game's only turnover, knocking the ball out of Jordan Love's hands. Tyreek Stevenson played a good game. And you think about what happens if Jalen Johnson does end up playing. And frankly, it feels like the exact same story that we've seen for the last half decade. There is nothing to me that says this franchise is going to do anything. That is, if we still have Ted Phillips. We have Kevin Warren now. I know a lot of people are so out on Ryan Poles. I'm not. He's made some great moves. He was the one who drafted Brisker, Gordon, and Stevenson, and they've all played so well this season. Stevenson, of course, having a rough start because he's rookie, and it's really hard to succeed as a rookie cornerback in this league. You need that experience to improve. Case in point, Gordon and Brisker. But did DJ Moore trade as well? And he drafted Darnell Wright, who's played great this season. I mean, he has done a lot of great drafting. And he's done a lot of great moves. He's had a lot of great moves. Of course, signing Montez Sweat. The defense completely changed when they signed Montez Sweat. But the Packers did a great job making sure he was an absolute non-factor. Packers O-line played outstanding. Jordan Love could do whatever he wanted in the pocket. And frankly, I think any quarterback in the league succeeds and wins this game because of how clean the pocket was. I think Justin Fields wins if the pocket's that clean the entire game. Some of the worst quarterbacks in the league, I think, are won that game with how clean that pocket was. I mean, I think Jordan Love wasn't even pressured on 15% of the passes he threw. As a defensive line, that absolutely cannot happen, and that's exactly why the secondary got burnt as hard as they did. It's a tandem thing. Secondary can't do everything. Secondary's been playing great, but if you can't get pressure on the quarterback and he has all day to throw, there's gonna be someone open. And that was the case for the majority of the game. And I don't know what was going through Matt Eberflus's head, but he played so much zone, and it's just Green Bay was able to get ahead of the sticks and stay ahead of the sticks, and that's why they were able to move the football. Bears could not do that. Packers, I don't even think, had more than one negative play. Bears had double-digit negative plays. They took sacks, tossed plays that didn't go anywhere, just could not move the football. And when they were ahead of the sticks, they were all right. They were much better. But when they got behind the sticks, they could not do a thing. Could not do a thing. And the thing that I find to be the funniest about a lot of the discourse that I've seen over the last couple hours, the amount of complaining about the officiating, it's ridiculous. Now I know, I am very pissed that they don't throw the flag on Justin Fields there. Say what you want, if it was a clean hit, a clean slide, should have slid earlier, I don't care. Hits like that shouldn't happen, and they get thrown for other quarterbacks in the league regardless. Like, you can't deny that certain quarterbacks will get the flag on that hit, and certain quarterbacks will not. And that's just how the officiating has been the last couple of years. It's how it's been this year. Justin Fields has not gotten a single late hit call all season long, and that cannot happen. And it is just egregious at this point. Say what you want about that play specifically, but the fact that Justin Fields did not get a single late hit call all season long is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You know, he's being absolutely decked. He's getting tossed to the ground after being sacked. I mean, it literally looks like something you'd strip right out of the 70s and the 80s with him, and because that's how football was played back then. But this is different. If we want to be consistent with what they're calling for certain quarterbacks, but not others, Justin Fields is not getting any calls, and he hasn't gotten a single call all season long, and it's absolutely infuriating. But it's one call, and in the long run, it didn't affect the game, but I think it could have affected the game. The frustrating thing, it was a relatively clean game, but the only penalties were in the final 10 minutes. Say what you want about the late hit. Almost feels like that 4th and 5, the Bears went and were gifted a first down off the offsides penalty. Almost feels like that could be a makeup call. Who knows? I'm not the refs. I don't make that decision. Doesn't really matter anyways because they took a holding call and they threw a screen pass on a 3rd and 22 down 8 points with under 7 minutes to go. So, I mean, didn't really seem like it was really going to affect anything at all considering that we had Luke Getsy calling our plays. And to those people who are confused on why so many people defend Justin Fields despite the low stats and the low touchdowns and the interceptions and the fumbles, and it's because of games like this. He was allowed to throw the ball under 20 times. That's the fewest all season when he plays the entire game. The only game where he threw fewer amount of passes was the game he got injured against Minnesota. And he got injured in the second half and had only thrown 11 passes up to that point. And I was mad at Luke Getsy then. I'm pissed off at him now because they were finally letting Justin Fields throw the ball 30 plus times a game. And it just, I don't understand. I don't understand why you don't let him throw more than 20 times in this game. To me, that means you're scared. Luke Getsy and Eberflus, I think both of the play callers played scared and played conservative and were not aggressive at all. It's infuriating because they very well could have had this game. They were gifted an opportunity to go down and tie the game in a game they were so out of for the entire length. Look, this one hurts because I feel like, it was perfect for Chicago to get their first win against Green Bay in 10 tries. First win in Lambeau since Jay Cutler ruined Brett Favre's retirement ceremony. First time anything meaningful like this in God knows how long. But once again, they fall short because they're being outcoached. To be honest, I'm honestly very surprised that Matt LaFleur did not go. It was not as aggressive as I thought he was going to be throughout this game. And what I mean by that is going for it on 4th and 5 and shorter. Doesn't matter where on the field. Just going for it on 4th down because they'll know they're converted because they're playing the Chicago Bears. And they can't really stop anything for more than 3 plays. It's kind of their thing against the Packers. But, the more you think about it, they never had to do that. They were never in that situation because the Bears defense could not hold them for even 3 plays. I know a lot of people are saying this cements Jordan Love as a franchise quarterback and one of the better QBs in the league, and it's a great story. I think it is a good story, but I honestly am not as surprised as a lot of people are. I was hoping and praying he'd absolutely stink, and he did for a while. But when you sit behind someone like Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, you have no choice but to play like him. And if you're sitting behind him in a scenario and in a system that has excellence and is winning a ton, you learn the schemes to win. You learn how to win football games. You learn from a leader, and that's exactly what the Bears are missing. They're missing that leadership quality, whether that's in the coaching staff. I don't think Justin Fields is a bad leader at all. I think he's a great leader. The problem is he got absolutely thrown into the fire too early in his career. Looking back to 2021, Andy Dalton, the only reason Justin Fields started so early was because Andy Dalton got hurt. If Andy Dalton doesn't get hurt when he does, I think Fields probably sits out for probably half a season. And I think that would have been the right decision. I am in favor of sitting a quarterback for a year. Because some of these quarterbacks have flourished after sitting for a year, and some of these quarterbacks have absolutely fallen flat on their face when being thrown in the fire to lead a franchise day one. So this is a situation where I think not having a minor league system is very interesting for the NFL because it's different than the other three major pro sports in the U.S. The NBA has the G League. The NHL has a wide variety of leagues, but they have two direct feeder teams to each NHL team. And then the MLB has, their farm system, which is absolutely massive. And it's interesting because in all three of those other leagues, or I don't know about the NBA as much, since I don't follow it as much. But I know in the NHL and the MLB, especially in the NHL or in the MLB, if you get drafted, you're not, unless you're like a godsend of a prospect, you're not starting in the majors for a good 2, 3, 4 years. In the NHL, if you're not a first rounder, you're probably sitting in the AHL for a little bit. That to me is kind of interesting, and it's something that I'd like to see the Bears do. If they decide to draft a quarterback, obviously it's different. If they trade Justin Fields and pick up Caleb Williams, I'd rather see him start than Bagent or Peterman. But if they decide to roll with Fields and they decide to get a quarterback in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, or if they wait to see if he does fine next year, and then if he falls flat again, go for someone in the next year class, because next year's quarterback class looks to be pretty good as well. But I think this quarterback class is full of studs. I think there's a ton of options for the Bears to use. I'm not as big of a fan as Caleb Williams as a lot of people are, because I don't think that Caleb Williams shows up in the big games. Look at USC this season. He absolutely dominated against Nevada and Stanford and San Jose State and other bottom feeders in the Pac-12. But when he played Washington and Oregon and UCLA and Notre Dame, didn't look good and lost every single one of those games. To me, that is the sign of someone who knows how to play with a lead and knows how to beat up on bad teams. But what about when you face adversity? What about when you're down for the count late in the game and need a drive? So that's a big reason why I'm not a massive fan of Caleb. Of course, he's got the raw talent. I know about the raw talent. But when I think about throwing Caleb Williams out year one and, having to ask him to play from behind a ton possibly, I don't know if he can do it. He has not proven to me that he can do it. And I say that because look at what Bryce Young has done this year. He has been given an absolutely terrible, terrible team to work with. I don't think there's a single quarterback in the league that excels in that system or even plays well, wins more than 6 games in that system. I don't think there's a single quarterback that does anything with Carolina this season. What's interesting to me is how it's a reality check for Bryce. I think that he has a chance to do something, but dude, he's throwing to Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. Those are good receivers. I like those receivers. But outside that, it's Terrace Marshall and Jonathan Mingo, and there is nothing on that team. The Bears are different. They have something. Caleb Williams will be able to throw the DJ Moore, and they have a good defense. But do I think that he would be in a similar situation? Because I don't know. You look at some of these successful quarterbacks. Josh Allen went to Wyoming. Patrick Mahomes went to Texas Tech. Jordan Love went to Utah State. These aren't household names. This isn't Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan. These aren't these giant schools. So those guys had to face adversity in their college careers. And outside of Josh Allen, Mahomes and Love got to sit for at least a year behind a veteran quarterback that was successful and take over and excel. Anyways, enough about the draft controversy. I can talk more about that here in the offseason as we get closer to April and the draft. But as for this one, it's just the same old story that we've seen year in, year out. But this does get the Bears last place in the division, which means they're going to have the fourth place schedule next year, which means it's not like it changes the schedule much, but instead of the Vikings will have to play the third place schedule, the Vikings will have to play the Giants, the Seahawks, and the Jets next season. Aaron Rodgers will have to go to Minnesota. I'm just happy that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to come back to Chicago. We get to play the New England Patriots and their rebuilding franchise. We also get to play the Panthers and the Cardinals again. Or, excuse me, not the Cardinals. We play them next year anyways. It's the Commanders. We get to play the Commanders and the Panthers again. So, we get some easier teams. So, if we end up drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May or Michael Penix or whoever it is at 1 overall, there is an opportunity to learn against weaker opponents. They're not going to be thrust into these incredibly tough games. But they also have to play on the road against the Niners next year. They have to play at home. They'll play at home against the Rams. But, I don't know, man. They got to go on the road against Houston. They got to go on the road against Indy next year. I don't know, man. I like the fact that they get to play the Commanders, the Patriots, and the Panthers next year. Anyways, I'm kind of done. I'm going to move on with my life. Bears lose to the Packers once again. I'm going to move on with my life. It's the same thing over and over again. There's no point in dwelling on this for a week. The frustrating part is that it's the last game of the season, so this is the last that we see of all these players, and so it lingers a little more, but I think the best thing for any Bears fan, my advice to you, just move on. Just take the L and move on, and just don't try to argue. Don't try to just you're not going to win an argument. And if you're trying to argue with people online, what's the point? What's the point? What are you trying to do? What point are you trying to make? Who are you arguing for? You're defending the organization, yes, but really, you're pump the brakes, slow it down, just swallow your pride and walk away. Trust me, you'll be a happier person because I stopped doing that a couple of years ago. My most popular video on my channel is the I Still Own You game. I rewatched that, I don't know how long ago, but in the last year, I went and rewatched it because I was curious in why it was still getting so many views and why my other Packer videos weren't getting as many views. It's because I just went balls to the wall, gave the Packer fans exactly what they wanted. They wanted to see me absolutely have a temper tantrum for 15 minutes. They got exactly that. I said inflammatory statements, and that's how you get clicks, but it's also how you kind of tank your reputation a little bit. And as someone who's trying to get into the sports media, I'm trying to stop that. I'm trying to think about things in a more logical sense. I'm trying to swallow the emotional side of it, maybe have a couple frustrating lines, just get some anger out of it for a couple lines, but nothing too crazy. I'm about to graduate college. I'm about to go into the workforce. I don't know if I'm going to be continuing to do these videos. Subscribe to the channel if you want to let me know, and comment too. Please let me know if you want me to continue to do these reactions, because if you want to do them, I'll see what I can do to try and keep doing them. And if not, I might try to do some more broad NFL content, NHL content. I'd like to continue to do sports stuff because it's my passion. It's what I'm getting a degree in. I started doing these 4 years ago. In the first season, I didn't upload a single video until the season was over. I recorded everything after the game and after those games, and I just uploaded them on one day at the end of the season. I decided to do the Blackhawks that season since it was a short year and it was only about 56 games, I want to say. So I did that, and then did the Bears again in the Blackhawks full 82-game season that year. Both teams kind of stunk. I did the Bears last year. Did not want to do the Hawks since they were going to stink, and they stink again this year. So I'm not doing them again this year. At least I'm not doing anything for all 82 games. It's a bit much. But this year was fun. I mean, as much as you can critique Justin Fields, it has been some of the most fun football that I have watched over the last decade. I've had more fun watching Justin Fields play than any Bears quarterback I've ever watched. And then again, that only goes back 10 years. And frankly, a lot of people who are way older than I am and have been watching this team for 3 decades and even 4 decades and probably watched them win the Super Bowl could say that this was the most exciting quarterback play they've ever seen. So it's been fun to cover the Justin Fields era if it truly is the end for him. And if he gets traded to Atlanta and succeeds, I'll be so happy for him. But I also won't be surprised because I think he's a great talent. And if I were in Poles' position, I'd probably keep Fields. It takes some deliberation, but it all started if I wanted to keep Eberflus. If not, then I don't know if I'd keep Fields as well. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. What they do in the offseason. I'll try to actually do some offseason coverage this year. I did not do that last year, or really I haven't ever done that. I made a draft video talking about the Justin Fields draft. But I'd like to do some more content, and I'd like to do some more content unrelated to Chicago sports in general, and kind of just sports as a whole. Because I just love following the leagues. And I think it's also come with my teams being pretty bad. I've started to just follow the leagues as a whole. Starting to watch more games about teams that I don't care about because the teams that I root for, they're playing so badly. I just want to watch good hockey, good baseball, good basketball, good football, whatever. I'm watching whatever I want to. But I'm also picking and choosing. I'm not watching and sitting down on every Sunday watching every game. I don't have Red Zone, actually. So, if I'm wanting to watch a game and it's not the Bears time slot, I'm watching, a couple games and flipping through. But, the journey for me as a sports fan has evolved over time. And these last 4 years have been great to cover some Chicago sports, some of the teams that I absolutely love. It's just a shame that they stink and they can't beat their rivals. But anyways, I have no idea how long this video is now. It very well could be over a half hour, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Seriously, I really appreciate you listening to me talk about the future and my own life. Yeah. Hit the like button if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more next season. Please leave a comment if you want to see stuff next season. I would really appreciate it. Your feedback, and if you really want me to do this again next year, I'll have to make a decision. I can go into more in depth later. I'll probably make another video about the future coming up soon. If you want to see more, please leave a comment. That would be great to let me know that you like watching me talk about my favorite terrible football team. And with that, the 2023 Chicago Bears season has come to a close. Finished the season 7-10 and missed the playoffs. Finished last in the NFC North for what seems like the millionth time. Thanks for tuning into this season. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.